Hi, thank you for joining me on Dishing with me, Heather D. And guess what I have? I have in store for you a really delicious cake. Caramel cake. This cake is going to be perfect for the holiday season if you are willing to try it. Yes, it is going to be so good. I think your whole family will love this cake. Not just enjoy it, love it. And that sauce that's going to go over the cake, the frosting, it's going to knock you off your feet. So join me and see how I put this cake together. And it is going to be easier than you think. And I know you will love to share this video. And you will love to make sure that you click that like it and subscribe to my channel after you see this recipe. So come on and watch and see how I do it. Here are some of the ingredients I will be using in our cake today. I'm using 4 eggs. I'm using a box cake mix there, and it's just a yellow box cake mix. I'm using 1 package of creamy vanilla pudding, 3 tablespoons of butter, a 1/4 cup of sour cream, I'm 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, and then I have my 1/2 cup here because I'm going to be pouring, I'm sorry, not my 1/2 cup, my 1 cup here, because I have 2 cups of milk. I'm going to use 1 cup of this milk will be going into the cake. The other 1 cup will be used for the caramel frosting, and then we have a little bit of vanilla also, and like I said, our 4 eggs. So now it's trying to assemble all of these ingredients together. Okay, first we're going to start out with our cake mix. I'm going to place it in a bowl here. Just going to open up the box. And like I said, if you can, you could use, just for time purposes, you could go ahead and use a box cake mix. If not, you can do a homemade yellow cake recipe that you may have. Or you could do the 1, 2, 3, 4 cake recipe. That is a popular cake recipe. I'm going to go ahead and take my ring off because I really don't like to cook with my jewelry on. And I'm just going to pour my cake mix inside this bowl here. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my 3 tablespoons of softened butter. And no, we don't have to separate the wet ingredients from the dry. We're not going to do all of that for time purposes because it's just a box cake mix. I'm going to go ahead and add my my creamy vanilla food pudding. Creamy vanilla pudding mix. I can't get my words together. And this is just going to be added, the whole pack. And of course, we're going to add our eggs. Just going to take them out my bowl here because I like to pre-crack my eggs as much as possible before I add it, because I want to make sure there is no type of impurities in my egg. And I'm not going to do one at a time either. I'm just going to add them all together. Now if you want, you could do one at a time and do the whole blending and mixing process. But like I said, this is a box cake mix. And pretty much following some of the ingredients. There's 1, 2, 3, and have 1 more egg. And we just want this cake to taste as homemade as possible. It's a semi-homemade cake. And that's 4. Then I'm going to add my 1/4 of vegetable, keep wanting to say shortening, vegetable oil. And our 1 1/2 cup of sour cream. 2 here. And we're going to also add a pinch of vanilla. Just about a teaspoon of vanilla. Extra rich flavor. Okay, sorry for the technical difficulties. I had to relocate my camera because the weight, I guess, couldn't take it. But right now, I'm about to add my 1 cup of milk. Now, as you have seen, I've already added the other ingredients. Now I'm going to add 1 cup of milk, and I'm just going to measure this out. Perfect. And I'm just going to add this in here. Now to just blend this all together. I'll put these to the side. And we're going to get this all mixed up and place them into our cake pans so they can bake at their right temp according to the cake mix instructions. Okay. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is what a cake batter looks like. Nice and thick and creamy. And this is perfect texture and consistency you're looking for when you mix up your cake using all those ingredients that I showed you. Now I'm about to place them inside of our 8-inch cake pans and let them bake, because this is going to be a 2-layer caramel cake. Alright, okay, let's get started. So there was a step I forgot to do, and that was spray. So because I have my cake mix already in here, I'm going to kind of spray along the side. Not traditional, not really the best thing to do, but I'm going to have to work with it. And pray and hope that this all rises perfectly. Got to do the other pan. And hopefully there'll be no technical difficulties with this cake. But you always want to spray your pan though before you add your cake mix. When you do your cakes, you always want to try to shake out the air bubbles before you place them inside your oven. And this is what I kind of do. Give them a little shake. Make sure that it's kind of even as much as possible in the pan. And then they'll be ready to pop in the oven. They do look beautiful, you guys. If my camera wasn't so heavy where I could angle it from a wall, you could see. But I'll show you once I put them in the oven. Those are my cakes, and now I'm about to place them in the oven. And I'm going to place them on the top rack. Sorry about that. I forgot to change my racks. So what I'm going to do is go by the smell method. And using my toothpick, I will have these bake at according to the boxed cake mix packaging. And these are 9-inch cake pans. So these two 9-inch will cook for about 23 to 28 minutes. Because the consistency and the texture of my cakes are a little denser. For the nice moistness, I will probably let them go for 29 to 30 minutes. But they should come out nice. And if I happen to smell them and they smell like they're okay, I'll pull them out sooner using a cake tester to make sure. Alright, we're about to let these mugs bake and look how pretty they come out. So we've made it through this step of getting the cakes in the oven. Now it's time for the caramel frosting. And you say, most of the recipes usually say use a cast iron skillet. Well, I don't have my cast iron skillet available, so I'm using my non-stick skillet. And it comes out just as good, and it comes out the same to me. I've used this skillet so many times in making my caramel cakes, and it has always come out just the way a cast iron skillet would do. Now, the only difference is it doesn't get as dark. I mean, you have to let it cook a little bit longer to get that dark consistency or color that most of the cast iron skillets will naturally give. But because this is non-stick, you have to stir a little bit longer. But it depends on how dark you like your caramel sauce for your caramel cake. So first, we're going to start out with 1 stick of butter. And we're not using margarine. You have to use butter. And this butter, my 1 stick has... is unsalted. Now my half stick is going to be unsalted butter, just to kind of cut back on some of the salt content. I'm going to also use 1 cup of dark brown packed sugar. Packed dark brown sugar, 1 cup. And then I'm going to also add, I'm going to turn my burner down on medium, between medium high. It's actually on number 6, so it's a little bit higher than medium, but not as high as medium high. So I have my packed dark brown sugar, 1 cup, and then I'm going to use 1 cup of white sugar in there also. Now this is where the stirring process comes into play, and your patience. So we're going to let this sit a little bit, and this is going to have to melt. Let me see if I can bring my camera down just a little bit. And I'm just going to start breaking up the brown sugar some and mash up the butter a little bit. And turn this handle around so I can have a better grip. And start the cooking process. And this is what I said will be the longest part of the whole recipe, is getting this caramel sauce just the way you want for your frosting on the cake, for your caramel cake. Okay, I'll be right back. As this breakdown, I'll show you what step it is to do next. Now this is the color of the caramel sauce after all the brown sugar and the sugar has, you know, pretty much melted. But we're going to keep on stirring this, because although the brown sugar is giving it that nice color, I want it a little bit darker because we want to cook this. We don't want this to be grainy like sand. So this is going to have to cook a little bit longer. And this is going to take about a good, I'll say 10 minutes before all the sugar is completely dissolved, before I will add my cream to it, or milk. If you use heavy cream, that's wonderful. If you use milk, that's cool. I'm using actually a half cup of canned milk, and then I'm using a half cup of cream, heavy cream. And I'm just going to keep on stirring this for 10 minutes, and then we'll be right back. I just wanted you to see how the consistency of the two sugars look in the pan. And you just have to keep stirring this. This is going to be some good caramel cake, you guys. This recipe is not really kid friendly, because you really don't want any interruptions from a small child either as you're doing this stirring process. If you have an older child that might be interested, I would say maybe 10 years old or older, this is a step for them. Teach them patience if they don't mind the stirring process. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, so my cakes have completed. I'm about to pull them out the oven. I still have my frosting on a the heat. Ooh, you can smell the nice richness of the vanilla. I'm placing my cakes on the dish because I'm going to let them cool, completely cool, before I add my frosting on top. But the cakes turned out to a nice, beautiful golden brown. And they're just so beautiful. So I'm going to let this sit out and cool off as I continue to work on my frosting. Okay, so this is how you want your sugar and your butter to look. It's starting to bubble. And you're still going to continue to stir this for probably about another 1 to 2 minutes before you add your cream. So it's been about 8 minutes, and I'm going to stir this for another 2 minutes, for another minute, I'll say. And then I'll show you how it's going to look once I add my milk and cream mixture to it. And I forgot to mention earlier, you can use half and half also. That'll work just as well for your frosting, for your caramel frosting. Okay, it's coming together. I'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, this sauce looks almost like gravy, and it's starting to have like a little bit of a cupping type texture. Now this is where you want to start adding your milk, or your half and half, or whatever milk product you have. But you don't want to use almond milk. You need a fat milk, like an animal milk. Almond milk will not work. Coconut milk will not work. Soy milk will not work. You have to use an animal base or animal fat type milk. I'm thinking if you happen to use almond or soy milk, you probably will have to add some type of starch to thicken it up. But then again, It still won't turn out quite right because of the fact that you still need an animal fat based milk for this caramel frosting. So I'm going to slowly add my milk, and you see it's starting to bubble. Not going to add all of it, just add a little bit at a time. And I still have it on my medium to medium high temp. Add a little bit more. And then also, I'm also going to add a pinch of vanilla. Just about a teaspoon to here. And this is where your stirring comes into play again. You got to keep stirring and stirring and stirring, because it does not end. You just have to stir forever, at least until you get the right consistency that you're, for your caramel frosting. So I'm going to stir this for about another 10 minutes, and we'll be right back. Okay, as you can see how it's coming together, not quite thick, but it looks like a beef gravy or a turkey gravy or chicken gravy or something. And it's going to be bubbling, and the whole idea of us constantly stirring is so that way the liquid can start reducing down, and you really don't want to step away for 1 second, especially if you're working from a cast iron skillet. This sugar don't take any time to burn. So to keep from having burnt caramel, you really have to stand by your skillet and just constantly stir it, as I am doing. And it just have a really nice bubbly consistency going on. And it's not quite ready yet. So we still have about a good 7 minutes to go in this stirring process until it is reduced down before it gets transferred into a bowl where we're going to continue the caramel process of mixing it using a blender this time, or a hand mixer. I'm sorry, in the process of using a hand mixer. So just stay tuned. You see it's slowly getting thicker. The sauce is slowly reducing, just the way it's supposed to. Just gotta let this stir about another 5 minutes before it's time to transfer. But this is what we're looking for, a bubbly and thicker consistency. It's coming along quite nicely. Okay, so it has been 5 minutes, and this is the color of the caramel sauce. And you see how it has thickened up just for letting the liquid reduce as much as possible. So right now I've turned off the burner, and I'm going to let the sauce sit and rest a little bit before I transfer it into my bowl, so that way it could be blended, and we'll take it from there. So I'm going to just let this rest for about 5 minutes. Okay, now we're coming to the last step process of making our caramel frosting. So I'm going to take my caramel sauce and pour it into my bowl here. And see how it easily just slide out. And part of it is because of the butter, and with this being a non-stick skillet, it made it a little bit easier. And I'm going to add in 1/4 cup of heavy cream. This is going to help it to thicken up. And I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of confectioner's sugar. That's closer to 1/2 cup. So 1/2 cup, 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup. And now this is what it looks like. Can't bend it down too far, but we're going to start cooling it off, or cooling it down some, and also incorporating some air into the frosting before we put it on our cake. And this will take, before I start, this will take about a good 10 minutes. I'll say 7 to 10 minutes, and I'll show you how the finished product looks. This is just 2 minutes into the frosting mixing process. Yeah, my bowl is spinning. Forgot to mount it, but look at it. It's developing that pretty caramel color already. This is so beautiful. Let me turn it off real quick. Look at that. Don't it look good? But yet, it's still not ready for the cake. Still got to work with it a little bit longer. But it's looking beautiful. I did add an extra 1/4 cup of powdered sugar into my frosting. Just so that you know. Because I want this frosting to get a little bit thicker. But look at it drip. Oh, man. I'm about ready to dig into this frosting as it is. Okay. Now, I got to stay focused. Got to get back to it. After 7 minutes, look. Look at that ribbons. Smooth ribbons of my caramel. And you see how thick it's gotten after I beat it with the mixer to get most of that air into it. It is ready to be frosted on the cake. And after a few seconds, it stops. I want to eat this now. It is so good. It is so beautiful. But look. So when your caramel sauce or your frosting starts to stop with the ribbon flow, then you know you've mixed it just right. And you know you incorporated enough air into it. And you added enough of the confectioner's sugar or the powdered sugar in it where it's not runny. So I'm going to let this rest for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to frost the cake. I can't wait. It's so beautiful. Oh, look at it. Beautiful. So our cake has completely cooled, and now I am ready to add my caramel frosting on this beautiful and delicious moist cake. And the frosting came out perfect. Now, just gonna, using a spatula. I should have used my offset spatula, but I didn't. I'm just ready to like really cut into this cake. So I'm just gonna add a layer in the middle of the frosting, and it's really coming out nice. And like I said in the beginning, your family gonna love this recipe. Now, the only tedious part is the frosting, and if you don't have the patience to make this frosting, please don't attempt, because it is, you know, it's too much work to try to half-step the frosting process. You really want this frosting to come out right, and the right color, the right consistency, the right texture. You don't want to mess this cake up, because like I said, the butter and the sugar and the heavy cream, that stuff is not cheap. And why would you want to waste the effort in trying to attempt the frosting, and then you just don't even do it all the way, the proper way? So I'm frosting this middle part of the cake. I let my frosting sit and rest some so it won't, you know, run. And I'm going to put the top part of the cake, but I'm going to lay it down so it won't have that little hump thing at the top. Now I'm going to put some of the frosting at the top. And look at it come down on the side. Now, I know a lot of videos say, you know, doing the crumb coat, but this is homemade caramel cake. I'm not worrying about doing a crumb coat first. I'm just going to frost this. And this smells so good. The vanilla that I added to the caramel and to the cake. Oh, it's delicious. It smells so good. Okay, I'm going to finish frosting this cake and let you see how it looks at the end. So, I finished frosting my caramel cake. Look at it. It's a little spot I need to cover. Okay, but it's pretty much covered. But look at my caramel cake. It looks so good. I can't help it. Look at that little spot. I need you to stay covered. Gonna just blend it. But you know what? You don't have to stay covered for long. I'm about to cut right into it. Or do y'all want me to just admire it for a little bit? Hey, looks so good. Ooh. And there's a little bit of frosting left in my bowl. So you know what I'm about to do? About to be a little kid and taste it. The frosting is good. My daughter got allergies. So if you happen to hear it, she ain't nowhere near me. She in another room. But this frosting delicious. I'm about to wash my hands and cut this cake. It's too good. Look at it. Now if you want, this is the perfect time to add your nuts. Or if you want nuts on top of it, I'm not even doing all that. I'm about to go get a knife and cut into this mug. Okay, so I came back and washed my hands. Got me a saucer. About to cut into it. Best way to find out if it tastes as good as it looks is to sample your product. Ooh, I think I cut too big. But who cares? Oh, look at that. Delicious. Look at the inside of that cake. Ain't it beautiful? I just want you to know this is my favorite cake. Oh, this cake is only made during the holiday season. This cake is not made on a regular basis. Ooh, I can't taste it. Look at it. Ain't it pretty? I'm about to go get a fork. Okay. They're about to watch me eat it. It's so beautiful. This caramel cake. Light and fluffy. This caramel frosting came out the bomb. Cake is good. I could have did a homemade cake, but when you're spending about 45 minutes just stirring up frosting, your cake needs to at least be a box cake, but embellished. Oh man. I gotta get some more of this frosting. This frosting is so good. I'm about to have a sugar coma. Nope, I better not wish that. But this cake's so good. You can eat the frosting first and leave the rest of the cake. Because this cake's so good. So, if you like this recipe, click that like button, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. I got more good recipes like this coming up. This is perfect anytime during the fall season. I say fall because, like I said, who want to stand in front of their stove during the summer months? Not I. This is during the cold months, fall and winter. And that's the only time I feel like doing it. The recipe will be shown at the end of this video. And you can also follow me on my Instagram and Facebook pages. It's so good, I can't even talk right. Dish it with me, Heather D 9708. Hope you enjoyed this video as much as I have done. I enjoyed making it. But you gotta try this frosting. It's good. I'm about to cut this mug, split it into 2 pieces. Look at it. I got 2 pieces. 2. Thank you for watching. Have a great day and God bless.